Hello friends, welcome to Dezinlife. Friends, business always operate on the numbers, and to get the numbers you need a business strategy. And to build a business strategy you need some market data on which basis you will build up the strategy. Now in the market, different datas or different reports are available or sold. And of late, too many reports are also available, particularly when we look at, say, in the time of Corona, almost every day or every second day, some or other report is available. It's too much stuff to read. Now, how to deal with the situation when in a month several times you have to go through either different data or the different reports, and all these reports have the different indications. Because most of the cases what happen, this different report, what the interpretation or the indications are the different. So I can summarize the problem in the 4 points basically. The number one point is there is too many data or too many reports are available, which will become too much. Point number two, data or reports which used to cost us huge in the past, now most of them are available free of cost. That too are circulating in the social media. If some report, some data is so important, how come everything or every second, third day some or other data circulate in the social media or some different reports, some report of 100 page, 150 page coming from big agencies and all those things, and social media it is circulating, which is who are consuming, who are buying it, and why they are being prepared. Point number three, every data agency by and large is selling something else, which means something other than the data. So they call it a product. I don't want to name any agency, but it looking at something, a situation like Swami Ramdev, which was initially selling yoga and later on start selling Patanjali products. So almost every agency, they sell something else, not the data per se, and this data is making the confusion. Fourth point, as all this data are the basically extrapolation of the samples. Now question comes on this sanctity of sample, which means how much sample is they have taken or how big was the sample, from where they have taken the sample. India is such a diverse country in multiple aspects. It's very difficult to get the right data. Whether data taken from different states or all the states, whether data taken from metro towns or non-metro, whether data taken from the rural or maybe urban, nobody knows the different data. Suppose somebody giving the pharmacy data, now it is pharmacy of whether pharmacy chain data, whether it is hospital attached pharmacy data, whether it's a brick and mortar pharmacy data, nobody knows. It's a pharmacy data. So there is a question mark on the sanctity of the data, how the sample is collected, and more so now in the Corona time, when some place lockdown is there, some place lockdown is not there. Now from where the data is coming, because everywhere it is difficult to get the data. So these are four major concerns. Now when the too many data are creating too much of confusion rather than solving. Normally we take the data, we take the report to solve. But here what is happening, because of this too much of the data, because of too much of report, it is creating confusion. So we need to consider 4 points before any decision. Number one, all these agencies, as they are selling something else also, so it's a clear-cut case of what we call conflict of interest. Their data set or their data has to leading towards something which they are selling, or we can say their data may be the misleading because they have their inner motive to sell something else. Point number two, with these data backgrounds, then these agencies add certain assumptions to that to create a report, which means there is a question mark on the data, there is a question mark on the intention, and then you add some assumption also. So in total, those reports are bound to mislead us. Point number three, this data closeness to the reality or the internal data, when you see, it's becoming more and more question mark. Now you look at, say, what your company is the internal performing and what data is shown, and same thing happening across. So what is the internal data or what is the real data and what is there showing in the public domain are becoming more and more gap, or more and more gap is increasing only. So there again sanctity is becoming question mark because it is becoming game of more and more extrapolation. And point number four, when this data or the reports are in the question mark, then if you build up any strategy on the basis of this data or the report, then those reports or those strategy, they cannot take you to your destination or where you want to go. Then the last question comes is, then where is the solution? Or what can be solution to this entire problem which is being created now? So I'll again suggest the 4 things. One is, first of all, for data agencies. For data agencies, if they want to keep the sanctity of the data, so they must stop selling other product. If they start selling other product, which means their data sanctity will reduce, and buyer of the data or believer of the data over a period of time will be reduced. What Swami Ramdev credibility was there 10 years back as a yoga guru, it's no longer. Now it's more is known from the Patanjali or for the business. So one has to decide, like Swami Ramdev might have decided he want to be more known for Patanjali, less for the yoga. That way these agencies also need to take a call, whether they want to known for other product which they are trying to push it, or for the data which they have been doing in the past. Second point, companies who are making the reports, they also need to avoid the conflict of interest, or this report has to be customized for which company or for which purpose they are making it. Otherwise they are floating just simply generic report, and the more and more mid-sized company or even bigger companies also getting confused, because how different people are interpreting these reports, because they are nicely prepared report and people work for quite some days, and beautifully designed kind of report, whatever content, whatever interpretation may be. Point number 3, these data should be used for the comparative study, that is for company point of view. Company should not use it as an absolute purpose, but more use as a comparative purpose. If you use for absolute purpose, then this data can mislead, and your strategy will go haywire, because if you look at mislead, how much is being sold, how much is being purchased, it can mislead you. If you look at how much was there last month from the same report, how much is there for this month, then this comparison can be of more of use rather than simply going by the percentage or going by because percentage we don't know the sample size or sample diversity, and more so absolute number, again we don't know about the sanctity of the data. So companies, it's important to use that only for comparative study, not for absolute purpose, until unless other things resolve. And the last point, friends, for the company's point of view, companies need to have their own intelligence system also, or they need to hire expert for the customized strategy or the customized report, or to interpret the data, rather than spending money or the resource or manpower on the generic report available, which will be free of cost, and just going by the name of agency, so and so agency has given the report, which means this is bound to be correct, which is not the case, because that agency has a purpose to create that report and floating in the social media. I hope some of this discussion will make you to think, and this will be useful to you. Thank you very much, friends.